So, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Awaken series. This is part 10. I can't believe that we have so rapidly gone through 9 parts. And when I go back, which I do sometimes, and listen to the earlier parts, every time I listen, there is something new that, um, you know, takes my attention there. And I do encourage you to do the same. Just go through the earlier parts and see which one draws you. You don't need to go through them one after the other. See which one draws you and listen to that. It will be interesting for you because you will be drawn to that talk which you need to hear again on a particular day or for a particular situation. So I do encourage you to do that. I found it extremely interesting and very helpful for myself. So today is the last of the 3 parts. If you remember, JadeFire had told us that part 8, 9, and 10 would focus exclusively upon the karmic patterns. And today is the last of those 3. From next week, I guess we'll start on something else as he guides me. So last week we saw how karma can actually help us to create positive patterns, to create positive situations in our lives. And we are kind of going ahead on that same theme this week as well. And he's talking specifically today about the law of attraction and manifestation. Um, when I questioned about that, why the law of attraction, JadeFire said that starting from 2021, our powers to manifest will increase manifold. And this might be a good thing and it may not be such a great thing either. Because as he explained, the law of attraction needs your attention. And if you do not pay attention, then the law of attraction works with everything, with all those energies that you're not even aware of. And that's the bit that could create uncomfortable realities for us. If we are not aware of our thoughts and our actions and our words and what is impelling us to think and be in a certain way, then the law of attraction shall work on those energies, with those energies, not on those energies. The law of attraction shall work with those energies and shall create in our lives realities that we may not be very happy with. So this particular talk today is really important. First of all, he starts by saying that thoughts really do make you the person you are. How you think is how you are. And if you think negatively, if you think judgmentally, if you think in anger, then that's exactly the kind of person you become. Then your words and actions follow suit. So let's take this a little slowly and see how this progresses. So JadeFire says the starting point of all karmic energies is the energy of thought. It is not the energy of action, as we have erroneously believed for so long. What we think is the seed that we plant first. Now, when we have a thought, that thought, as we already know now, that thought releases its energy. And it's either an energy that encourages a movement towards soul mission, or it's an energy that takes us away from soul mission, or is going to deter someone else from their soul mission, right? So depending on the kind of energy this thought releases, we are either going to be expanded, or that same energy which creates hurdles in the path of our soul mission will return to us. Now, that thought energy has a frequency. Like all energy waves, it vibrates, right? All energy vibrates, and the vibrations depend upon their frequencies. So the thought energy also has a frequency. We release that thought, and depending on its frequency, this thought goes into the universe and finds other frequencies of the same vibration, finds other energies of the same frequencies. If we continue to think in a particular manner, then we remain in that bandwidth of that particular frequency. We cannot move out of the bandwidth of our thought. This is so important for us. For me, this was one of those aha moments, that we remain in the frequency bandwidth created by our thoughts. So you see, guys, here is a great example of people who sometimes tell us, I've always done a lot of good, I do a lot of charity work, I help out a lot of people, I am very kind, I'm very compassionate, and life has treated me unfairly. Here is an extremely good example. The importance is given not to our actions, but to our thoughts. That person is probably telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth, that her actions and her words are helpful. She goes out of her way to help people. But in her own private space, her thoughts may not be all that uplifting. Her thoughts, for example, might be resenting that, her children don't come to visit her often. Her thoughts might be filled with anxiety and fear because she lives alone. Her thoughts might be judgmental of the neighbor next door who creates such a racket with the music. Her frequency bandwidth is determined by her thoughts, not by her actions. And these thoughts create the situations. Because, guys, whether we use the law of attraction consciously or not, the law of attraction works every single time. It is a universal truth. It is an unchanging truth. And therefore, it is going to work every single time. And the purpose of this class is to bring it to our awareness that this law works, and it might work in our favor if we use it very consciously. And so, how to use this law and the karmic patterns consciously. So let's not be like this lady who complains that life has treated her very unkindly, has been very harsh with her in spite of the fact that she's such a wonderful person. She is a wonderful person, but her thoughts are not. So her thoughts, like our thoughts, create situations in her life. And what do you and I do when situations come up in our lives? We react. Yes, if we are aware and if we live in consciousness, we can pull ourselves out from that reaction, right? We can train ourselves to pull ourselves out of reaction and move into a space of response. We can pull ourselves out from the reaction that comes from separation or scarcity and move into a space of oneness and abundance. Yes, we can do that. But if we are not aware, if our consciousness is not sharp, and if we are living unconscious lives, then as soon as a situation takes place, we are going to react to that situation. How do we react? We react through word and we react through action. Right? This same lady who goes out to an orphanage and does so much work there for the orphans will fight with her next door neighbor and call the neighbor several harsh names, right? She calls the neighbor selfish because the neighbor is playing music. She doesn't see that she could also be coming from a space of selfishness. So our actions and our words that stem from the reactive mode that we enter into now follow the same frequency bandwidth as our thought. These words and actions have the same frequency vibration. They take us right back into that same frequency bandwidth where our thoughts have been. Now, every time we think in a certain way, the law of attraction works by attracting to you energies from the universe according to the frequency bandwidth that creates situations in your life. You react to those situations by word and by action. Can you see now how that bandwidth is getting stronger and stronger? Our presence in that bandwidth is now becoming something that is getting rooted in that bandwidth. You see, the more times we visit that same frequency bandwidth, the more difficult it is for us to extricate ourselves out of that bandwidth. So we continue to live in that bandwidth. The law of attraction continues to work. It continues to give us experiences that align with that bandwidth. And this is again what JF says. Can you see now that karma is not a punishment? You have a thought. The thought has a frequency vibration. It aligns with the frequency vibrations, that same frequency vibration in the universe. Therefore, you live in that bandwidth. That bandwidth is the only thing that is available to you and to your soul to create situations, experiences in your life. If I have only 10 rupees in my wallet, then I have only 10 rupees with which to buy myself a meal. I cannot expect to have the pleasure of going into a fine dining restaurant if I have only 10 rupees. If I want to enjoy that kind of a meal in a Michelin star restaurant, then I have to proactively work to increase the amount I have in my wallet. And that's exactly what's happening here with us. What we have present to us, what is available to us, is what is present in the frequency bandwidth. That bandwidth, remember, has been created by our thoughts, not by our actions. That bandwidth creates a situation. We react to that situation. We think a certain way. We talk a certain way. We act a certain way. What we are doing is we are making that bandwidth stronger and stronger. And the soul has no other energy with which it can create more pleasant experiences for you. The longer we remain in that bandwidth, JadeFire says, now something begins to happen, which is going to create a huge hindrance for us. He says the longer you remain in that bandwidth, your intentions begin to change. You may have started out life with really good and positive intentions. But as you continue to dwell in that bandwidth, which is a very limited bandwidth, due to the constant fueling of that bandwidth by your thoughts and words and your actions, very, very slowly, unknown to us all, our intentions begin to change. And these intentions can then become intentions of ill will, intentions to harm someone, intentions to harm ourselves. These intentions, our intentions, are even more out of our reach than our thoughts. Now, here is the problem. All thoughts create the karmic energy. The problem is we are only aware of some of our thoughts. We are not aware of all our thoughts. So that's the first hurdle. We are not aware of all our thoughts. I remember reading somewhere that some thousands of thoughts per minute cross our mind. I am certainly not aware of thousands of thoughts that cross our mind, that cross my mind. So out of those numerous thoughts that are crossing my mind every moment, I am aware of, let us say, one or two. But what about all those other thoughts that I'm not even aware of? Please remember, karmic patterns do not rely on my awareness. So just because you and I are not aware of our thoughts doesn't mean that they do not create the karmic pattern. Do not release the karmic energy. This continues, and slowly and surely our intentions begin to change. Now, if our intentions are positive intentions, that's great. I mean, we don't need to have this conversation then. But what if our intentions are not positive intentions? What if our intentions come out of judgment and bitterness and frustration and blame and the desire to hurt oneself or the desire to hurt someone else? And like our thoughts, we are aware of only a few of our intentions. You know, in so many of my sessions, it takes me a lot of effort to very gently make the client aware of the true intentions. As human beings, you and I want everyone to think the best of us. And so we wear so many masks. But you know, while wearing these masks for others, we forget the true face of ourselves. And this is what happens. The masks hide our true intentions. And we are not even aware that our intentions are not as pure, not as good as we believe they are. Now, the energy of thought is very, very strong for the law of attraction and karma. Even stronger than the energy of thought is the energy of intention. My intention creates my thoughts. My thoughts create the circumstances. The circumstances create my reaction. My reaction again creates my intention. My intention creates my thought, and we get stuck in this cycle that seems to go on. Now, I asked JF, I understand what you're saying. I understand that I can only create out of the bandwidth that I am currently existing in. I get that. I asked him, why is it that I can only create from that bandwidth which I am currently existing in? What happens to the fact that maybe last year I was in a far more positive state of mind? I was in a far more expanded bandwidth. I asked him, I said, doesn't that count for anything, right? Why is only this moment so important? Of course, he says, you know that there is no other moment except the now. So what you are referring to as a past, when you might have been in a far more expanded state of awareness, right? That moment has already gone. It has done its work. It has created for you whatever it could create for you. And that moment's gone. You cannot hang your peg on that moment, because the only moment that's available to you is this moment. And why is this moment, and why can I only create from the bandwidth of this moment? He says, in order to maintain the balance in the universe. Now, I didn't understand that answer. And I said, explain. What do you mean that it's because it maintains the balance in the universe? And he gave me an example. He says, with your thought, with your intent, with your word, with your action, you are giving out a certain output of energy. Let's call that output of energy X. As we have explained to you, X will create its own situations for you. X will create its own experiences for you. And through those experiences, you will get back the energy of X. X output, X input, there is a balance. And he says, this is what energy exchange is all about. Whether the energy exchange uses the medium of money or uses the medium of a give and take of things we do for each other, that is immaterial. He says that is important for you in your human world. So when you offer X and someone pays you a fee for that session, that balance is maintained. There is no give and take. It's all done. So we use money, or we use barter, or we use our actions as a balancing factor. And he says that is an extremely inviolable law of the universe, the law of balance. At every moment, there must be balance in the universe. He says if there is no balance, your world would implode. It would fall on itself. So this balance is acutely important. And he says what comes out of that balance is harmony. And of course, I said, that's not quite true, JF. If you are saying that my every action, let us say that's the output, is balanced by what I get, which is input, which is also X. And if this happens to everyone and balance is maintained, and you say that that leads to harmony, I am not seeing the harmony around me. I am seeing conflict. I am seeing struggle. I am seeing polarization. I am seeing people at odds with each other. I am not seeing harmony. And he says, harmony, another aha moment for me. Harmony, he says, is not peace. Peace is completely different. Peace is the absence of struggle. Peace is the absence of conflict. Peace is the absence of agitation and disturbance and violence. Harmony does not mean peace. It is not the same thing as peace. Now, this is important, how he explained harmony to me. He says, you see people, all of you, you see people, as human beings. The universe sees you as sparks of light. Some sparks are bright, some sparks are dim. All sparks of light having the same output of light congregate together. So very, very bright lights will congregate with very, very bright lights. Dim lights will congregate with dim lights. There will be a constant energy flow between one spark of light and another spark of light. This constant energy flow between the sparks of light as they congregate together creates an alignment where all the lights exude and take in the same energy. All lights exude and take in the same frequency vibrations. Harmony is this alignment. Harmony is the alignment of frequency vibrations. It is not peace. And he explained, he says, when you were very young, the elders in your family would tell you to make friends with those who think like you and act like you and speak like you and have your, let's say, moral compass. And he says, this is the reason why you were told this. When you are with those you align with, there is a harmonization of energy. And then he goes on to say, harmony is always associated with sound and music. When there is a harmony between sparks of light, because they only see us as sparks of light, when there is a harmony between sparks of light, the energy flow that takes place emits a celestial sound. And then he goes on to surprise me even further. He says, what is created by that sound emission. So now let's put things into perspective here. I reside in a certain bandwidth, right? According to that bandwidth, the universe sees me as a spark of light, whether bright or dim. My spark of light automatically and very naturally, effortlessly moves towards other sparks of light who have the same light signature. When we are aligned with those who have the same light signature, there is not only balance in the universe, there is harmony. And that harmony creates a sound. And that sound creates my experiences. At this point, I wanted to stop downloading anymore. And I wanted a little bit of a breather in order to think about my life. And it suddenly made so much sense to me. Many, many, many years ago, when I first became aware of the spiritual aspects of life, when I first allowed myself to be open to the spiritual aspects of life, suddenly a few of my very, very, very close friends just ended their friendship with me. There was never an explanation. They never said that they agreed or disagreed with me about my, spiritual talks or the books I was reading. Nothing. There was no such interaction or communication. It just was, I was dropped. And for a while, it was an alone period, because these old friends, many of them just disappeared. And that's a bit of a hard one to take, because these are people you have known for so many years and you've gone through ups and downs with them. And this is not what you would ever have expected. And so for many, many, many months, there were no friends. And it was a very alone period. And then new people started coming into my life who I could converse with about what I was going through, and spiritual discoveries and the wonderful things I was uh, gathering, and the curiosity to learn more. And today, when I sat back and I thought about this, it was, oh my God, that is what happened. My light spark was not in alignment with their light spark, and there was no harmony there. So I had to be moved away from a congregation that I didn't belong to anymore. And the few months of aloneness were because I had to come to terms with what had happened. And when I did come to terms with what had happened, I allowed new people who were vibrating at the same frequency that I was. And they just came in, and I had the most amazing new friends. And the joy of this is that as I've grown, the number of my friends have grown, and the wonderful people that I meet, and who are my friends, and who are my clients, and my clients who become my friends. And it's such a wonderful interaction, and truly that is a harmony. So for me, this aspect of balance and harmony was really profound. And then JF says, let's look at people who congregate together. Their thoughts, their words, their actions, their intentions are now on the same wavelength. They are all living together in that same bandwidth. They are all creating a harmony. Please do not misunderstand. Those energies that have dim light signatures, and no judgment at all. Please remember, at some point, all of us have had very dim light signatures, so let's not judge. Those energies that have very dim light signatures, they congregate together. They also create a harmony because they align with each other's energies. Each gathering of light, guys, this is important. Each gathering of light creates collective experiences for the world. And JF says that is why sometimes nations create an experience only for that nation. And at other times, the world creates an experience like the pandemic as it is happening now. And he says, this is how collective experiences are created. When light signatures come together, there is a harmony, there is a sound, and the sound creates an experience. At this point, he says, you might erroneously believe that you are important as a person only because there is a collective with you. Yes, that collective is very, very important. But he says, do not forget the power of one. I, as a person of free will choice, I have two choices in front of me at every and any given moment. One choice, I continue to remain in my current light signature, or I do something to enhance it. And this doesn't mean that I have to have a dim light signature in order to enhance it, right? Whatever is our light signature, there is always potential to enhance it. So that choice is always with me. At every moment, that choice is with me. Continue with my same light signature or enhance it. Or there's a third, which is not a choice that is I take in awareness, but a choice that I take unconsciously. I unconsciously react and my light signature dims. If my light signature remains dim for an extended period of time, I will not be able to congregate with the same sparks of light. Those around me will change. I will not be able to harmonize with those who I am harmonizing with now. So you and I have to be acutely conscious that when our light signature dims, as it will, it's part of the human course. Yes, our light signatures will dim. You and I will react sometimes. We will get irritated or intolerant or impatient. If you and I are in constant awareness of our light signature, we can remind ourselves, hey, your light signature has dimmed. Are you happy about that, or would you like to do something to brighten it up all over again? That power is the power of one. every moment you and I have a choice. Now, here is what is important. Just as the collective get together and that collective light creates an experience, one person can be the seed that can create a collective experience. And he explains how. He says, let us assume that tomorrow something calamitous takes place in the world, which is shocking, which most would, let us say, react with anger and violence. He says, you can be that one different spark of light. Instead of harmonizing with all those who are angry and upset and agitated and disturbed, you can make the choice to step back and choose to spread comfort. You can choose to spread peace. You can choose to spread solace. He says you may not be able to choose forgiveness, but that is okay. But you can choose to comfort, you can choose to soothe, you can choose to support. And if you can't choose that with your actions, you can choose it with your thought and your intention, which in any case, as karmic patterns, are way stronger than words and actions. So you could, let us say, sit back and chant something that would spread comfort. You could, in your heart space, take in those who are hurt, who are bereaved. You could take in those who have caused the bereavement and in fact embrace them with so much love that their hearts open instead of remaining closed in darkness. You see, you and I have this moment to moment choice. And he says, your choice, what you choose to do, gives out its karmic energy, finds its bandwidth, where there are always other sparks of light. And then you create a ripple effect from your energy space. Your choice has a ripple effect and touches the hearts and minds and souls of people around you. So even though the collective is very strong, he says, never underestimate the power of one. At this point, he reminded me that we choose our parents based upon their genetic structure. He says the genetic code, remember the two codes, the genetic code and the karmic code? Yes. He says the genetic code has within it all experiences that have yet to be assimilated. And he explained what that meant. An experience that is not assimilated is an experience that has been created out of an energy that hinders the fulfillment of the soul mission. I'm repeating again. An unassimilated experience is one that has been created out of energies that hinder the fulfillment of the soul mission. Till these energies convert into soul mission enhancing energies, they will not be assimilated into the energy matrix. Whatever is assimilated into the energy matrix expands your consciousness immediately. What lies unassimilated becomes a part of the genetic code. It actually remains as information in the cellular structure of your DNA. And those are the energies that come up first in any situation. Unassimilated energies come up first. That is why we react. Unassimilated energies create our thoughts. Unassimilated energies create our intentions. Unassimilated energies make us reactive. So he says, just as you chose your mother and father for their genetic code, they chose their parents for their genetic code, who chose their parents for their genetic code. And this is interesting. Whatever lies unassimilated is passed on from genetic code to genetic code to genetic code. He says, because all energy is eventually one, an unassimilated experience by an ancestor becomes your unassimilated experience and lies in your DNA. Many months, maybe even in years ago, when I had first heard Dr. Hulen Ihali Kali talk of Ho'oponopono, I had wondered about this when he said you have to clear the energies of your ancestors. It didn't quite resonate with me then. I've very clearly understood it now. And I do Ho'oponopono every day. My Ho'oponopono practice has now changed a little. Before I do my Ho'oponopono practice, I just create intention that all unassimilated experiences of all my ancestors should come to me in this moment of now for the purpose of clearance, for the collective good. Because I know what I clear for myself, I clear for the world. Those of you who did the Ho'oponopono class with me will know what I am talking about. Those of you who haven't done that Ho'oponopono class and you are interested in Ho'oponopono, contact me. There is a recording of that class. It's a paid recording and I can share the details with you. But Today, it changed today from knowledge to wisdom. Completely changed from knowledge to wisdom. I truly know, I truly get what it is to have unassimilated experiences of ancestors that come to you. The law of attraction requires responsibility. And responsibility does not only mean what it starts and ends with me. Law of attraction, in its widest sense, is manifesting for the world, manifesting for the collective. And the first thing we have to do before we can manifest is to ensure that unassimilated experiences are assimilated. As soon as unassimilated experiences are assimilated, the bandwidth that you dwell in expands. Your light signature expands. The light that you congregate with is a different, brighter, more radiant light. The harmony and the sound produced out of that harmony is sweet and celestial. Naturally, then, the law of attraction will create in your life only joy, beauty, health, love, laughter, and abundance. May this always work for you in its highest good.